You have been paying attention to these Spanish researchers. We have talked about graphene oxide, but you are now here willing and ready to say that this is 100% proof that this is nothing but mass poisoning, mass murder, genocide.
And I've read through it. I based my career on reading scientific papers, studies, interim analyses, things like this in pharmaceutical drug development. The group is called La Quinta Columna, the fifth column, and they are associated with the University of Almeria. But what they did was they got a Pfizer vial. It was a sealed vial with Pfizer markings on it with a lot number. They followed the instructions to dilute it appropriately into 6 doses from that vial. And Stu, here's the shocking information. They examined it under regular microscope and electron microscope. And they came up with those really ugly pictures of those bulbous pictures with the black mesh intertwined. Here's the ratio of what they found in those vials in each dose. Each dose, Stu, the RNA, there was RNA material in there. Out of each dose, there were 6 nanograms per UL of RNA. Do you know how much graphene oxide was in there? 747 nanograms. Do the math, my friends. That is a percentage of 99.99103%. It's virtually 99.99% graphene oxide. There's a study I want to call everyone's attention to. The title is called Toxicity of Graphene Family Nanoparticles, a General Review of Origins and Mechanisms. And in this article, depiction of what happens when these graphene sheets that these investigators found in the Pfizer vial, when they get into your system and when they start to penetrate your cells, which they have a lipid nanoparticle that pushes them into your cells, you get oxidative stress. You know, you're always worried about taking your antioxidant pills. Well, this is the oxidative stress that you're taking it against and to protect yourself from. It destroys literally everything inside the cell. It explodes the mitochondria. It creates a situation where your body is on a 10 alarm, like a 10 alarm, fire truck, and inflammation, cytokines, chemokines, this incredibly violent, if you will, inflammatory storm comes in, and it has particular affinity for creating acute inflammation of the lungs. It creates an inflammatory storm in cardiac tissue and in brain tissue. Stu, this is going to tie directly to strokes, to the heart attacks, and we're giving this to pregnant mothers and babies. This is really something everybody's got to start paying attention to.
Okay, so I have a question. I'm just a lay guy over here. You're the expert. Graphene oxide, is it a poison?
It is most definitely a poison.
Okay, and these people have found, these Spanish researchers have found that over 99% of the Pfizer vaccine is graphene oxide. Is that right?
That is correct. Stu, there's no other reason for this to be in here except to murder people. These researchers are very, very professional. They are using like a spectroscopy kind of approach in these electron microscopes, which means they're differentiating using light with the way they know light behaves over graphene oxide in industrial publications. So they are going to run literally hundreds more tests on this particular vial to make sure they actually get a chemical analysis that is 100% graphene oxide. Right now, it looks like it. You've seen the pictures. I also provided those to you and your producers. Verified graphene oxide in industrial publications. So we do have the pictures. But they want to go one step further, and they want to show us that these are chemically confirmed. Stu, if this is true, and if the rest of the companies that are pushing these jabs, all 4 of the companies in the U.S. are filled 99% with this toxic industrial chemical, I don't know what to say to you, but everybody better shut everything down right now. This is really dangerous.
It's horrific. I get chills listening to this. I don't know why the media is not picking any of this up. I mean, they're in on it. They want you dead. They're part of the murder plot. This is ridiculous. They want to push this into our kids. They want to put this graphene oxide directly into the, aside from premeditated murder, what might be another motivation for one to fill another person's body, their entire makeup, with this graphene oxide? What else does this stuff do other than poison and kill people?
The only other explanation I could come up with as a scientist myself is that this is a mass, uninformed, without consent, global experiment, because they've never been able to get this into humans on an experimental basis. No human subjects review board would ever approve a protocol with this stuff in it. They've done this study that I just showed you that was done in 2016, toxicity of graphene. It's been used extensively in animals, and they say it does relate to the amount that you put in there, but there's no other reason to have something that's comprising 99% of the injection to have this toxic material in it. But still, it's never been used in humans, much less babies and pregnant women.
Yeah.
These Spanish researchers in this group said that when you look at the different symptoms from last year, or a few residual cases now, they are all symptoms that would also be caused by excess graphene oxide in your body. The storm in the lungs, if you inhale, and by the way, they're preparing a preparation right now, these companies, of an inhalant version of this, quote, vaccine. And God help us, Stu, because it's more potent, it goes right into the lungs, and it creates a pulmonary storm of pneumonia right away. And you're going to see, if they get this into emergency use authorization, you're going to start seeing respiratory flash pneumonias and rapid deaths.
Is it possible that Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, all these people who are sending out, all these vials to all these pharmacies, which we have seen pharmacists showing up, these leaflets are blank, these inserts are blank, nobody knows what's in this thing. It's impossible to give proper informed consent because nobody knows what's in it. Nobody knows what the potential side effects are because those things would all be listed right here, and this page is left intentionally blank. Is it possible that nobody knows, other than the manufacturer, what is really inside this thing? And that the manufacturer was directed by the likes of Anthony Fauci and Bill Gates as to exactly what formula to use to create this, as Dr. John McGreevey indicated, that these people are intentionally trying to kill you. They're trying to murder you. They have the technology and they have the recipe for disaster, and they are intentionally pushing this on the American people to thin the herd, to control the population, to make men sterile, to make women infertile.
Yep. When you get your body filled with enough graphene oxide, it is with the warmth of your body, and if it's oxygenated if it draws the oxygen into it, that it can be manipulated, and your body can be affected by the vibrations from the 5G network, which we haven't even seen completely set up and rolled out yet. And so there's a lot of concern around that. At that point, that will just be the residual people who haven't died from their lung or heart disease from this excess toxic chemical. So wait,
we have to pay.
Don't take it. Just wait.
Just wait. Absolutely. You have coined the hashtag, and it seems to be catching on. I hope people heed that advice. Dr. Jane Ruby, she's a 20-year international health economist and pharmaceutical researcher. You can find her, drjaneruby.com.